Captain Lilpaw rushed through her ship, gathering as many of her pirates as possible. After the failed attack on the human vessel, they were down by a full quarter of their numbers. How many dead and how many captured was unknown. But policy was that there were no jailbreaks for those stupid enough to be caught, and only 1 in 10 had gotten out. With the overpowered pheromones of their only prize burning out of her system, she had been able to clear her head enough to take a suppressant. Then she had made a ship-wide announcement to make sure everyone had the lust blocker in their system. Just a few minutes of marinating in his scent had nearly driven her insane and given him enough time to hack into the systems. His price tag was going up and up, and if he was the type to escape, he might even be a repeating investment. After all, catching a runaway slave and keeping everything hush-hush is good money. Especially if his pheromones have an addictive quality beyond basic bonding, they'll be able to name a price each recapture, not to mention the original sale. At first they tracked his fancy new key chip, and then he'd caught wise and got to another terminal. He was off the grid now, and they had to scour the ship from end to end. To make matters worse, he would play merry havoc with all the ship systems the moment he got near another terminal, which was getting more and more frequent. What few computer technicians she had were locked out of the system in such a way that if they were within 10 meters of a terminal, they would automatically deactivate. Then anyone she sent near a terminal would cause it to power down. The moment the power went up again, it started its shutdown sequence if any of their chips were nearby. That was both impressive and infuriating. She'd have to beat how he did it out of him once she was done beating the wretch for what he did to her in her own quarters. Embarrassing her in front of their main meal ticket? It was bad enough that she had to suck up to the self-important slag, but doing it while going insane from lust? She would take his next 20 children from him and make sure to raise each and every one to hate his guts. "Captain?" Jingay, one of her helm officers, asks on the open channel. The limbless communications officer was more than a little typecast for her species, but good at her job. "What is it, Jingay? Any sign of the prisoner?" "Not yet, but our allied vessel is coming in. I didn't know you had some secret friends to help out, but they'll be a relief." "What allied vessel?" she demands as her blood runs cold. This enormous one, a battleship. You explained it to me via text so that the prisoner couldn't listen in." "You idiot, how far off is the ship? We need to get out of here on maximum burn yesterday." "They've already engaged the docking clamps," Jingay mutters in shame. "And they're so big that if you try to accelerate out of the grip, you'll rip this ship apart. I win. Also, I have my guns back." The prisoner chimes up over the onboard comms. "Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I've been listening in for a while and know you won't be getting away. I've got complete control. Also, you people don't check near the engines anywhere near enough. I practically set up a base camp down there." He mocks them, even as the entire vessel shudders. "Also, I've turned off your weaponry. Having them all controlled through a central component gives them an easy method of attack and sabotage. Also, your mechs are powering down. Damn you!" she screams out in frustration before the sound of the airlock's manual overrides being activated echoes. "Captain, what do we do?" "Well, I, as commander, suggest you surrender and be ready to talk. My kind believe in redemption and clemency, meaning that if you play nice with the arresting officers, you get a lighter sentence. Not to mention I personally see opportunity here, and I think the Admiral will too. One you will like almost as much as he and I will." "What kind of opportunity?" she asks, trying to find any kind of way out of this mess, and he chuckles. "I'd like to clear it with the Admiral first. Don't want to unreasonably get your hopes up. Anyways, play nice with the army of heavily armed and thoroughly unamused men, and they'll play nice right back." He offers then the nearby maintenance panel opens. "Okay?" he asks with a big smile. Hey, don't try it," he says, stepping out fully with a small weapon at the ready. The deactivated electrical cannons are useless in their hands, but sheer reflex caused them to bring them up. "I've got 11 hollow points in here. Each one will tear apart your internals, and energy shields do nothing. These are kinetic," he says before pulling something off his belt. "And this is a grenade, a chemical explosive that wreaks absolute havoc and death in these close quarters. I activate this and we all die." A few moments pass, and the airlock opens entirely. "Contacts! We have our man here!" a black-clad and armored man shouts out. The former prisoner lowers his weapon. "Are you injured?" "Negative. I have subverted the enemy vessel and have both a great deal of information and need to speak with the Admiral. We have a flashpoint possibility, he says, and the soldier nods. Use my radio. The soldier invites, not taking his aim away from the small search group. The other one sheathes his weapon and grenade before walking up to his fellow. Be gentle with them. We have an interesting opportunity here, the former prisoner says, grabbing a device off the shoulder of the soldier. This is Miles Brent, code Sierra Tango Alpha 00228, confirm. He states into the device, and there's a burst of static. Code confirmed. Good to have you back, soldier. Report to medical, please. I'm going, but I need to speak with the Admiral as soon as possible. In person, we have an opportunity here, and it would behoove us not to miss it. He says into the device before it gives another burst of static. Confirmed. Get moving. He'll see you there. The person on the other side orders him. On my way. He replies before tucking the device back into the shoulder strap, then moving out. All right then, ladies. Nice and slow. Otherwise, we start putting holes in people, the soldier says before forcing them out and through a reinforced hallway and into a large cargo chamber with numerous ship-grade weapons pointed at them. The entirety of her crew is marched in, including a surprising number of the boarding crew she thought lost. They're dripping with desire and barely able to move properly. The entire ship really is full of men, isn't it? No questions, no interrogations, no nothing. Then, after a long enough time for the lust suppressant to start to break down, the pheromones in the air makes everyone start to squirm, and not just the returned boarding crew. Then the door opens and a small crowd files in. Was this time to put them all at disadvantage? At the front is a man in a formal uniform with graying hair and a harsh glare. His presence is one of intimidation and strict brutality, the sort of thing from those schlocky movies where societies of warrior men were found, or perhaps one had been found in cruel space. Captain Agenda Lilpaw? The high-ranking human asks, and she nods. I am Admiral Garfield Cistern, leader of this endeavor. Your ship and crew are at my mercy, he states plainly, and she glares at him. A mercy that you will be able to take full advantage of. Now she's intrigued. As my soldier commander Brent has pointed out to me, I have need of additional ships, further crew, and local intelligence, particularly of the unsavory parts of the galaxy and less-than-legal societies. Right now, my species has everything in one oversized troop transport. That's not good enough. Wait, is he trying to recruit her? To this end, I want to sponsor your group of miscreants as privateers. To that end, you will willingly share all information with us. We will openly deny that we have anything in common, but in secret we will be giving you supplies, and our ships will only fire upon yours if we are under the observation of other entities. We'll also be missing a great deal in such circumstances. Admiral Cistern explains, and Lilpaw's jaw has dropped. She regains her composure and gives out a huff. And what exactly will you be wanting of me and my crew? I don't have a problem with a sponsor to keep us flying, but what do we lose? There will be 10 of my men on your ship with veto power. If they say a certain target isn't to be hit, then it's left alone. We also get first refusal of loot you capture, meaning you come to us first to sell whatever you steal. We will pay in full, don't you worry. This also means a guaranteed market for you girls. Finally, we will be sharing information and will occasionally require special missions from you. You will be paid richly for those missions, and we'll be using the commanders we station on your ship as our liaisons between you and us. You want to talk to us, you talk to one of them. We want to talk to you, then we talk to one of them. And what's stopping us from just flying off with everything you're about to give me and never hearing from us again? Because if we don't get a monthly report from them with the proper code phrases, then we will hunt you down and hurl every member of your crew into the nearest star before using your ship and a few puppets designed to resemble you in order to do the raiding, spying, and assassination ourselves. Servitude or death, what a wonderful choice. Captain Lilpaw growls out with her hackles rising, behaving like you actually have standards and prospering, or throwing away any semblance of being anything more than an animal and dying. The Admiral counters, and she huffs. The commanders you will be putting on my ship. What authority do I have over them? It's my ship. I know it. I run it. I put my blood into making it run as well as it does. She demands, and the Admiral sniffs. Do not think me unaware of the unusual gender divide in the galaxy. These men are volunteers already tested so that they won't start a plague if they perform the duty you're no doubt thinking of now. Really? She asks in a doubtful tone. Yes, really. We've also gotten the preliminary tests out of the way. There is a risk of pregnancy if you overindulge. The Admiral remarks, and some of the men behind him look away somewhat as if embarrassed. Finally, a normal reaction from these crazy humans. That's not a risk, that's a prize. Captain Lilpaw all but purrs. So they are a standard race, one with a weird gender ratio, but that's just a good thing. Still, confirmation they're clean, fertile, and capable makes the temptation run really, really high. That one, the one we caught then, brought you upon us. I want him, she says, pointing to her former captive with a leer. The man, rather than flinching back, raises an eyebrow and smirks. Captain, this is his idea, he says before glancing back at the suddenly bashful-looking soldier. You learn things you never wanted to about your men with the things they sign up for, the Admiral says before looking back to Captain Lilpaw. His information is also what gives you your first mission. Oh. What did he see that pissed him off enough to make him want to sick her entire crew on them? Commander Brent will give you the details. This first assignment is non-negotiable. Furthermore, you must sign this if you are to be one of ours. He says, and is handed a briefcase by Brent that he opens up and lays between them. This is a contract with your writ of piracy. Basically, if any other human vessel somehow or for some reason catches you and yours, you can show them this and be released. So even if I'm replaced, you will have this. Admiral Cistern explains, and she picks up the paper. It's to the point legal talk, but solid-looking. If this has some hidden clause or whatever, then I'm counting the whole thing as a trap and letting the galaxy know you're sponsoring pirates, she says with her eyes narrowed, and he nods. Understood, the Admiral says calmly before she goes back to the paper. It seems on the up and up, straightforward and legit. He's also effectively giving her hostages. What's the first thing you want out of me? She asks plainly. It's the deal breaker. What do you want? We want you to turn on your sponsor that was looking to have you kidnap and sell our people. We want her kidnapped from her home and handed to our interrogators. We want her business raided and its assets stolen. Take everything not nailed down and pry up what is. Burn the rest and fly cackling into the night. We'll pay premium prices on everything in return, and you get to name the price for the sponsor. He explains, and her jaw drops. What's the catch? We have less than an hour to get everything into your ship and settled, and we're not starting till you sign the contract, he says, and she focuses hard. A very fast skimming of the contract, and she signs her name on it. He signs his name as well, and then closes the case to hand it to her. My men are yours, Captain. Glad to have you aboard, the Admiral says, saluting her before turning around. Move out, men. I want that ship loaded and prepped 20 minutes ago. Go, go, go! He roars, and the 10 men behind him rush away along with a huge number of crewmen. What are you putting on my ship? Captain Lilpaw demands, and the Admiral turns to her. 2 months' worth of food supplies, 3 weeks of fuel in solid state, and 2 in liquid. The materials and tools to make a gunsmithing laboratory so that my men can maintain and improve their weaponry. Even produce more if it's requested of them. They will also be moving on their personal effects and the extra training materials we're having them complete. Extra training? Make no mistake, all 10 are excellent combatants. The training they underwent had a 95% failure ratio over 2.5 years, and each of them got through. However, the training was about local languages and combat as well as ship navigation and maintenance. They can destroy enemy positions and will raise unimaginable havoc to the enemy if given half a chance. Yes, the one we caught proved that right. Miles Brent passed by the slimmest of margins. Right at the line of failure, I and the other examiners personally saw him as the sort to finish all of his jobs, even if it meant he was leaving chunks of himself behind. He's one of the weakest links on our ship, but a laudably stubborn son of a bitch. Regardless, a pass is a pass. He, along with the others, will be learning about leadership, logistics, and everything we know about diplomacy and galactic politics, as well as several lessons from our own age of piracy. These 10 will not be a burden to your crew, and if they prove to be a burden, contact me and they will be replaced. I see. What about shore leave and such? Keeping specific crew members on board every time tends to lead to sabotage, Captain Lilpaw says, and he nods. The story we'll use is that you seduced them and we'll disavow them as criminals officially. So sure, take them out and show them off if you want to, the Admiral says. They're giving up everything for this crazy plan. Lilpaw suddenly realizes. Almost. There's a way back, but it won't be ready for years. It'll take a solid 5 years at minimum, likely 10 to 20. 5 years of absolute loyalty, with up to 20 before they have anywhere to go. Draft boards don't get a quarter that from their recruits. Captain Lilpaw says before smirking. 5 years to seduce those men as much as I want. Perfect, she mutters before glancing around. The hell are you all doing sitting on your hands? Get back to the ship. We've got ourselves loot to take and a bitch to deliver to our new friends here. We go where the money is, spin up the engines, power the shields, and get the bafflers going. We got a raid up ahead. Her orders roar out, and her entire crew break out of the trance that her conversation with the Admiral had lulled them into, and they scramble, flap, skitter, and slither as appropriate back to the airlock. They're a bottleneck that makes her snort a little, but it quickly sorts itself out as she slinks calmly back onto familiar deck plating. Her ship is blasting with activity, and a nearby terminal tells her a little something. All 10 of her newest recruits are in a previously unused storage room, working on something feverishly. Apparently, Brent is extremely quick on the uptake and already chipped all the others. Up 2 levels and a quarter of the way down the ship, the door opens and she walks inside to see 8 of them setting up several different machines, as the last 2 are going around and bolting the machines to the floor. "Captain on deck!" one of them shouts, and all the activity stops, and she gets a smart salute from each and every one of them. She scoffs, appreciative but scornful of such things. She doesn't walk far in, her head is already starting to swim from the scent of all these fertile and virile males so close together, all for her and her crew. It's an effort of will not to drool. "This is a pirate ship. I don't want salutes, I want results," she says, and all of them but that freaking Brent rush back to work. "Fair enough, Captain. I hope you don't mind if I'm the one giving explanations," he says, and she grins salaciously. "Oh, don't worry. You'll be giving me a lot of explanations come tonight. But I want to know what kind of mess you're setting up in my storage room," she says, and he nods before taking a stance with his feet shoulder-width apart and his hand clasped behind his back. "This is a gunsmithing workshop and laboratory. We will be creating long-ranged kinetic weaponry in here, as well as experiment to create better models and custom models for the many different crew members. This is also where we will be manufacturing the ammunition and performing maintenance on damaged weapons. We have a 3D printer for plastic part manufacture. We're also setting up a multi-bit drill, a metal press, a lathe for metal and wood, a belt sander, and a grinder. We also have a bullet press and a small chemical workstation. Finally, we'll be making a lot of use out of the foundry and scrap recycling chambers on this deck." "I see. What can you start handing out first?" "Easiest and the fastest is to use the 3D printer and plastic. The weapons come out more fragile than a metal one, but can be produced in huge quantities quickly." Brent answers, and she nods at the thought. "We can start now if you want cheap handguns, proper rifles are too powerful, and forget about a plastic shotgun. However, we can pump out standard handguns roughly at a rate of 1 every half hour," he says, and she must have let her confusion show. "This is a handgun," he says, drawing out a weapon from a holster hidden under his left armpit. It's held easily in a singular hand. He flicks a switch and holds it out to her. "Metal?" she asks, taking it and examining the weapon for a moment before handing it back. "It makes a more enduring weapon. It will require regular maintenance and cleaning as opposed to a plastic one that, after a short time, will warp and begin to misfire," Brent explains as he tucks the weapon away again. "So it's like a stealth plasma caster compared to a multi-plasma caster and a long-range caster, I assume. It sounds like handgun to automatic to rifle. We'll be making all of those." "Good. Now, Captain?" Jingay asks through the comms above her. "Talk," she orders. "We're ready to head out. We need you up here," the comms officer says, and she nods. "All right then, gentlemen, carry on. I'll be assigning you all bunks shortly. Just get this done. Mealtime is in 4 standard hours." "Yes, ma'am." They call out as one, and Brent gives her another salute. She just shakes her head as she walks off. The moment the door closes, she lets out a huge breath and shudders. "Oh boy. If they're willing, then half my crew is getting gravid in short order, a prize beyond any amount of simple resources. 10 males on the vessel, an embarrassment of riches." She mutters to herself before shaking herself to clear her thoughts and then making for the helm at a fast lope.